Another day, another video about Christy Sides, who is showing that she might be worse than we've all thought. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how she still has a job as a professional basketball coach, but it's mad. It's getting worse day by day, some of the stuff we are seeing about Christy Sides. Before we get on to the main part of the video, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. A huge thank you guys for 4,000 subscribers. Hitting that is crazy, and we are honestly not that far off 5K, which has been an unbelievable goal considering how new this channel is. Anyway, now let's get on to the video. So, like, obviously, I didn't talk about this in the video because I was just talking about how she, like, what her coaching decisions were just horrendous. They were absolutely horrendous in the loss to the Sparks. And right after the game, Aaliyah Boston, who had been screwed by the refs, picked up 5 fouls, 2 soft ones and a phantom foul. And look, they probably win the game if she's not in foul trouble. And she's in foul trouble because refs just call everything on her this season. Caitlin Clark is being manhandled. She's being hacked. And you know who won't defend her players as a coach? Christy Sides. She won't defend her players. So what happens then is sometimes as a coach, you just got to take a technical foul. You got to just take a technical foul. If you stand there and be in silence, and I get the whole thing being like, okay, yeah, don't let the refs affect your game. But someone's got to say something when your players are being screwed. When your team is being screwed. And that Fever have got the worst whistle in the league. So because Christy Sides won't say anything, like, Caitlin Clark got teed up defending her teammate. Lexi Hull got hacked and Caitlin Clark got teed up for it. Because why? Christy Sides refused to say anything. So someone has to say something. Like, when you are consistently getting the bad end of the stick on the whistle, when you're getting the bad end of the whistle, game after game after game, someone has to say something. Aaliyah Boston talking to the refs after the game. And Christy Sides, in her post-game interview, does she talk about the fact that her rotations are worse than that of somebody? You could have just picked a random person out of the stand and they could rotate better than Christy Sides? No. She goes in her interview, or in her post-game interview, talking about how her team needs to stop talking to the refs and let her get technical fouls. Well, she doesn't talk to the refs. So that's why her team has to get technical fouls, because she won't do it. But then also, that's just throwing her team under the bus. If she doesn't want her team to talk to the refs, do it in private. Don't come out publicly and say that. And also, and this is after, obviously, going out publicly and stating what Caitlin Clark's weaknesses was. Sure, every single team knows she doesn't have a mid-range game right now in her game, and when she does, she's going to be scary good. She's already really good. But the first press conference she had is crucifying her own player. Is criticizing her own player. Her own player. And now, if you have not heard the Nalyssa Smith situation. So look, I'm not going to lie. Nalyssa Smith has not been spectacular this season. She's had a few good games, few bad games, but she's almost been frozen out. And the reason is obviously Fagbenle is a better fit with Caitlin Clark. That is just a fact. But when Aaliyah Boston was in foul trouble, they didn't play Smith and Fagbenle. Like, the lineup with Smith Fagbenle at the 4-5 had worked extremely well. Heck, just play Smith at the 3. She can shoot a little bit. Just figure out a way to play her at the 3. She's 6'4", can move well for 6'4", and averaged 15 and 8 last year. I put up comparable numbers to Aaliyah Boston, and she was the number 2 pick in the draft 2 years ago. She was a borderline all-star after being the number 2 pick in the draft, and she's been frozen out. And not only has she been frozen out, we think she's been frozen out. Her mom is literally on Facebook saying that Nalyssa was told by Christy Sides that she doesn't see a spot for her in the team anymore, and she doesn't know what she brings to the team. Oh my! Nalyssa Smith is by far the best bench player on that team. Has she had the greatest start to the year? No. Is she figuring out how to play with Caitlin Clark? Sure. Is she a better fit with Caitlin Clark than Aaliyah Boston? Yeah. But she's not as good a player as Boston. So obviously that's not going to be... She might end up having to come off the bench just purely because of how well Fagbenle fits the team. But still, she's not even being put into a position to succeed with that, because she's getting whipped early. I know she was bad against the Sparks, but against 1 game of 8, she's been all right. She's been all right at times. She has been all right at times. But if you look at her own likes on Twitter, she is literally liking posts criticizing the coach. She's writing posts criticizing the coach's treatment of her. And if you look at her brother's Twitter, her brother is literally, his entire Twitter is just going at Christy's sides. And like, this is not like, people were saying, oh, she's angry at Caitlin Clark. No, this is not. Like, if you look at the brother's Twitter, half the posts are like liking stuff about the connection between Caitlin Clark and Nalyssa Smith. Like, there's gonna be some growing pains, but freezing out your second best player from last year is not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. Freezing out who could be one of your best players. It just does not make sense. It just does not make any sense, because you're tanking any sort of trade value for a borderline all-star who may end up being cut soon, because it's a ruthless league. If she's not going to play and our coach believes she brings nothing to the team, you're going to have to cut her at some stage. Not during the year, but she's going to be cut at the end of the year. And she's probably going to go and ball out for another team. Christy Sides is incompetent. Like, genuinely incompetent. And this is not, again, I'm not talking about how to make Caitlin Clark good, because she doesn't know how to do that. It's a given. Like, I don't know what she's doing as far as putting Aliyah Boston in situations to succeed, because it's just not happening. If you watch her on the sidelines, she's just jumping around and waving her hands in the air. Like, at one stage, I can't remember, someone tried to close out on the shooter and she put her two hands up in the air to remind her players to close out. And I'm like, she's coaching like she's coaching 13-year-olds. This is professional basketball. I get it. Some people don't respect the WNBA. It's still professional basketball. You cannot go in with the same tactical naivety, the same man management skills, and the same just basketball philosophy that you would have coaching 13-year-olds. And I've never seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like it. Imagine telling one of your all-star players that you don't see where they fit into the team. Imagine saying that to one of your all-star players. Imagine going out publicly, game after game after game, and criticizing your team, your own team, when you are the worst coach in professional basketball. And look, I will double and triple down on that. As someone with experience in a very low-ranked professional basketball league, there is no coach in this country at a high level that is worse than her, or in like one of the quote-unquote pro leagues here that's worse than her. She might be the worst coach in all pro basketball. It's so bad. And not only how bad she is on the floor, there's no way team morale can be high when there's no way. There's absolutely no way team morale can be high. And it's just awful to watch. It's awful to watch. They literally gave their golden goose. They gave their golden goose to someone who might actually be more detrimental to a team than somebody who won a competition to coach. Because, like, the worst part is that some awful basketball coaches just let the team do whatever the hell they want. And sometimes that works. Sometimes when teams do whatever the hell they want, they have some sort of freedom. They have some sort of ability to just go out and mess up, and sometimes that works. But there are coaches that are tactically naive, are bad for morale, and will limit what players do, and will actively make the team worse. Will actively lose you a game. A coach who literally does not coach basketball, and just lets teams do whatever they want, will not actively lose you a game. A coach who thinks they are a lot better than they are and will ruin everything about a team will actively lose you a game. And that's what Christy Sides is.